How are you
So
doing?
I'm doing great. And you?
I'm doing good too.
This is
Today
very
is
nice.
Ganesh Chaturthi here in India. Today is
It's a what?
Lord Ganesha's happy birthday.
Lord Ganesha. How
Yeah,
nice. You
yeah,
okay? Happy birthday to Lord Ganesha.
yeah.
Wonderful. Can you see me well? The light
I can
and
see
everything
you well.
is
I
very
can
well.
see you
Yeah, I
very
can
well. I
see.
can hear you very well.
Okay, great.
Yes. So we're also
Great.
live on Facebook at the same time, Efu.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just keeping you posted about that. So before we begin, I thought I would keep you informed and check with you if you needed anything else.
No, I think I'm fine. I'm just here, ready to go. I was just worried a little bit about entering. And I didn't want to join with telephone because I like computer better, And
Yes,
then I'm like,
totally.
what? How I cannot believe this that I can I cannot join. So but finally when I got in, I'm fine. I'm
Yes. Ah.
oh.
Yes. And to
Yes.
all the viewers here today we're in conversation with Miss Euphrasia Nyaki, who we otherwise call Efu Nyaki from Brazil. Right? Short introduction about who she is and what she does. Efu Nyaki is a Somatic Experiencing Faculty member with the Somatic Experiencing Training Institute from the US. She is also a teacher of the Family Constellation System Therapy that we will be learning a little about later in the conversation. Originally from Tanzania, east of Africa, but currently lives in Brazil, where she has founded the AFYA, which is a holistic health center for women and their families. She works internationally teaching as well as healing all kinds of trauma, and I am one of the biggest witness to it here. So thank you so much, Ifut, for joining us today in this conversation.
Yes. You're welcome. I'm very happy to be here. Yeah.
Thank you
Really
so
great.
much.
Yeah.
This is what you're seeing. This is the White Elephant Clinic where you're seeing me sitting, and this is the waiting area, the lounge that you're seeing of our clinic, the White Elephant.
Great. This is very nice. I'm so glad to be able to contribute to this clinic
Thank
and
you
also
so much.
like to everybody else who is listening to us.
Yes. So
Yes.
the intention of today's interview, that I can call it, Ifu, was basically to really spread the word of somatic experiencing and family constellation. And I thought, who better than the expert herself, you, to talk to us about that a little more and to be able to explain this in the more easiest and simplest way so that people can really carry it back, because they keep hearing from us most often, but to hear from you would be something really special. So yes.
Yes. Great. Great.
What
Wonderful.
what is trauma, Ifu? What do you really think trauma is? And so often all of us, or so many people out there in the world think that trauma and a traumatic experience is many times an experience of the mind, right? So I
Right.
feel traumatic, something I've gone through so much trauma in my life, and that's why I feel disturbed. But a lot of us really associate it to an experience of the mind. But as somatic experiencing practitioners, we understand that it's an experience of the body. But what do you have to say about this?
Yes. It's both body and especially body, I think, and mind too. It affects every aspect of our life
Yes.
because trauma is really unexpected,
Yeah.
overwhelming. Yeah, these two words are very important for defining the trauma. It's in unexpected, we don't expect it, it comes like a shock, and it's overwhelming also event that violate our physical, social, and emotional safety. Okay,
Mm.
it doesn't have to be that it creates really an injury yet, but it actually violates our safety. And
Mm.
then it results in a sense of constant threat and need to manage risk. So we are constant when we have trauma, we keep our brain keep on acting as if the trauma is still happening. So the
Ah.
body, yes. And so the body is always trying to defend itself, trying to look for how to defend from all this problem that is going to happen constantly. So this is actually a trauma, and it can happen in the stage of a little child, or even like still a little baby that is born now. It can happen to our stage as little children, as adult, as at any stage of our life, trauma can happen. Yes.
So do you? So is this necessary to understand that anybody who has experienced something too fast, too quick for them to really adapt, is trauma necessarily for them?
Yes and no, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Because because it always, the trauma happen because of the energy trapped in the system. If an overwhelming event, too soon, too fast, too quick, come, and it overwhelmed us, then we actually get traumatized, because we begin to look for ways to defend ourselves. And that energy we use to try to defend ourselves, this is what creates traumatic energy in our nervous system. Now, for example, if the event, an overwhelming event happened, but then I'm able to kind of manage to escape well, and I feel safe right after that event, then I won't be traumatized. And this really, that's what comes from the Peter Levine, who is the owner, the one who founded this method, Dr. Peter Levine. He founded this method from United States. He actually studied the animals. The animals, even though they live in a very dangerous place, there's no walls, there's nowhere they can hide. They are constantly running from their enemies or running after their own food. And this actually could traumatize them. So they keep a lot of energy at that moment for survival. But the problem, the advantage of the animals are that they don't get traumatized. They are immune to trauma, while the human beings get traumatized constantly after such event. And the reason being why we can go to this deeper a little bit, because the animals, they don't have the higher brain, the cortical brain, which keep on thinking of what to do, which is really our problem. They don't have this part. So because of that, they can pay attention to their body, and they release all the traumatic energy right away when they feel safe. Okay? So that is the difference. So that it's not always everybody that get this overwhelming event and come very unexpectedly that they get traumatized. Not everybody, but majority, yes.
But when you were explaining this, I heard you say the trauma energy that is stuck inside the body. That really caught my attention. When you said trauma energy, that's very interesting, because we most often connect to the word trauma as an emotion and not as an energy that could have just been not moving around. And would you want to throw some light on that?
Yes, because traumatic energy, trauma affects. Okay, so look at that again. Trauma affect the aspects of our emotional aspect, affect the physical, affect also, and violent, really, our social life, and probably our spiritual also aspect of life. Now, of course, what is happening here? Because there is a traumatic energy that is trapped in the nervous system. And this traumatic energy, it's an overwhelming energy that was used when you try to, I'm going to explain in a very simple way, not go to the scientific way, but come to the very much simple way of understanding. When we are trying to defend ourselves from this overwhelming experience, we are trying to save our life, because it's all about survival. When we're trying to do that, we mobilize a lot of energy. And this energy can be divided, lots of energy. And this energy can be divided into three. Like the first moment, we mobilize a fight energy. We really want to fight in order to survive. And a second quick moment without thinking, we mobilize the run, the flight energy, maybe so that we can survive, because the fight maybe is not possible. So now we have to run. And then when we feel like even the running away is not a possibility, then we freeze so that we can save our own life. So all of those stages of fight, flight, and freeze, there's lots of energy in this process. So if we don't complete this energy, we don't have a moment of safety where we release this energy, just like the animals do, then this energy actually, how do you call that? It takes over our life energy. So this is energy over. Our life energy is there inside, and this is extra energy outside our body. And this is what actually affects the emotions, affect the physical, affect the spiritual, affect the social, and then we just cannot live freely anymore.
So what I understand out of what you're saying is that when somebody experiences something that is too much for them, is when and they are not able to overcome this situation of excessive energy to process this event, is when somebody could have been experiencing this carry forward of trauma, right? And this energy could have been in any form of fight, flight, or freeze. Not necessarily just wanting to fight creates this excessive energy, but be it even a freeze where you don't respond could create a lot of energy in the body.
Sure, yeah. When you are not able to complete a special, you want to fight and you couldn't complete. Then your body feel like, in order to save itself, it's running, it's flying, and then it couldn't complete the running, and then go into the collapse, into the freeze, and then it stays there. So this is what trauma really is. And we go through many events in our life where we go through this process. So yes, that's what trauma is.
So can you describe to us a little about how an SE session really looks like? Because we're talking about so much energy and body and talking. And so if you can describe what an SE session could look like, maybe our viewers will understand, because so many of them always have this question of, yeah, I understand it, but what does a session really feel like or experience like or look like? So, yes.
Okay, sure. So the SE. So now with this, maybe just beginning touching first from the trauma that we just talked about. So with the stressful system, your nervous system will constantly be stressful from the trauma, from the traumatic energy. You're always having the stressful anxiety, right? And sometimes you adapt the behavior and the beliefs that are negative and unhealthy. From this, the outcome of this traumatic energy, then, that it stays in our body, it creates stress and anxiety constantly, that actually make us adapt behaviors and beliefs that are really negative and unhealthy. Okay? So then SE work very compassionately in order to help people to let go of this energy. Wow. So the session of SE is like we sit with the person on the side or in front of them, however they choose, and we contain the energy. We help them best. We support them and help them to feel safe. This is very important. Two words that are very important in healing trauma is the safety and support. So when people feel safe, they actually begin to liberate that traumatic energy in their system. And so, and as we are accompanying them, feeling safety and supported, we invite them to notice their bodily sensation. Why bodily sensation? Many people ask that question. The bodily sensation has to do with our physical body. At the same time, it has to do with our one part of our brain, which is called reptilian brain, which is a very old system. And this is where the trauma, actually, the traumatic energy gets stuck. It gets stuck into the reptilian brain. So when we invite people to pay attention to the body so that they don't think anymore about the event or about the story, they are able to get in touch with the sensations in the body, and then they start to liberate the energy that is trapped in their system. And how they liberate, this is what we call the discharge. They start feeling like a little trembling, they start yawning, they start opening the mouth, they start crying sometimes. They just feel the release. They have tingling, so many sensations they feel in the body that it's part of the liberation of the traumatic energy. Okay? Yeah, that's how the session of SE really, in a very simple way.
Very interesting. How does an SE session differ, or how is it different from a normal or regular psychotherapy session?
Great. That's a very good question. Yes, there's a big difference. Yeah. So now I have mentioned already that the traumatic energy usually goes into the reptilian brain, the lower part of our brain. And so I believe psychotherapy and counseling deals a lot with the higher brain, which is the thinking brain, the rational brain, because they ask you to tell the story. They ask you when did it happen, how did it happen, explain why is it like that. So you're constantly thinking and telling the story. I mean, sometimes maybe you don't even know, but you end up making up. Yeah. I think psychotherapy usually, and I not only psychotherapy, I will actually say all the modalities of healing that gets into this part of the brain, like telling stories and maybe just analyzing, reasoning and analyzing. So then when you're doing that, person might feel maybe alleviated, I don't know, by telling the story, but the energy is not touched. So the traumatic energy that is in the body, it stays there constantly. Yeah. They might even understand, that accident was very bad. Yeah, too bad it happened. But they're not touching into the energy. Okay. So now comes SE, as I have explained. In SE, we don't encourage stories at all. But when people want to tell the story, first of all, we invite them to observe the stability. Like helping them to calm down first and feel stable. When they calm down and feel stable, they start feeling safe. Remember, I say safety is very important for healing trauma, for people to just feel more comfortable with themselves. Yeah. So when the first moment, you just have to do that to help them to feel the body, feel the stability like a tree, feel here and now and in the present moment. And as they do that, the body itself start letting go. Okay. And then as they are liberating the energy and they feel a little bit more relaxed, then we encourage them to tell the story, but in a small dosage. Like, maybe tell me a little bit. Well, what helped you survive? So we start with the resource. And they said, oh, well, help me survive. Yeah, there was my aunt, and there was my teacher, and there was somebody else. So when they talk about what helped them survive, they feel safer yet. They feel very comfortable with themselves. Then more liberation of the energy trapped in the system.
Yes.
And then maybe we might encourage them to share a tiny bit of a story. Like, how did they begin the journey? Okay, Do they remember the time they left home? You don't even go to the trauma, to the accident right away, if it were an accident. We ask them, now tell me the day before traveling, what was happening? And then they bring up a lot of other things that could actually lead into the accident. Then you liberate the energy again. By the time you get to the story, real story of an accident, there's no more big rapture or big accident focused energy, because the energy has been already released. Yeah. The examples that we have had, people who have healed from many people healed from the somatic experiencing, they always, sometimes they come to a point where they say, you know what, actually I don't have a need to tell you the story anymore, because I feel already good. Yeah, so that's the difference, because I believe in the psychotherapy and many other methods, you have to tell the story so that your therapists understand what you're about. And I see we are not even curious, but we are present, and with compassion, with support, and the person will let go of the energy. That's it.
So the idea is that somatic experiencing or psychotherapy, the end result remains the same, like the destination remains the same, to help a client feel more supported, safe, and grounded, but the direction which we reach there is very different.
Yes, exactly.
So somatic experiencing walks you through the body with the experience of the feeling than just talking about the feeling, but really experiencing it and allowing it to really let go whatever is holding at a body level, while psychotherapy would be more talking and that way. So
yes. And talking about the 3 parts of the brain, this is very important, scientifical, huh? When you look at the higher brain, it's mostly thinking, judging, reasoning, and all that, right? And the middle brain is a lot of emotions that comes in there because of the hormones. And then the lower brain, there's no reasoning, there's no emotion, it's just the energy. And that's where the trauma is. So when you just pay attention to the body, you're really getting in touch to that part of the brain, which is totally present. You become completely present and no reasoning, and therefore it allows the body to liberate the deepest trauma energy. And even like from the belly, that the most scary moments, it kind of comes out very slowly and gently also. Yeah.
Yes,
so
because sometimes, yes, please.
Yeah, no, I was just saying. So then also we integrate, in the end, we integrate the three parts of the brain. The the body sensation, and then the emotions with the reasoning. Because in the end they get a new meaning, they understand what happened. So it doesn't mean like we don't talk at all about it, but we let them bring it in at the end. You begin, we call the therapy that you begin from the bottom up. Because you're bringing out all the trapped energy, bring into the emotion, liberate all the emotions, and then you come up to the reasoning, where you can say that reasoning become more awareness than the reasoning. Aha, now I understand what happened. So you have a new meaning. And really there's a lot of healing into the new meaning, rather than being stuck always with the reasons that we had during the trauma.
Wow. So interestingly enough, what our viewers can get out of this one bit of what we spoke just now is that you can always address an issue with somatic experiencing, not really talking about it, but just feeling it, because talking about the same thing could actually be a way of re-traumatizing for some people, and we could just work our way around it and not by really talking about it, right?
Correct. Yeah,
Wow.
and I think when you brought that in there, I will say that Peter Levine himself do not really always use healing trauma, even though in the end that's what we are looking for, of course.
Mm,
But he always talk about negotiating and renegotiating trauma.
mm,
Because yes, because who heals is the person and their own nervous system.
mm,
Yeah,
mm,
yeah. So then what happens is as you're negotiating and feel the body, have stability, have some resources, and they feel a little better and liberate some of this energy. So this is all about negotiating. And in the end, they actually begin to feel good. They said, wow, all right, so I don't know if I need to even go into the details anymore. Maybe I don't even remember the details, but I feel good. So you negotiated back and forth with them, and then in the end, they are the one who make a sense out of it.
mm, mm.
Yeah. So you're very correct about the resume that you just did there. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. That.
That's interesting
Mhm.
because what you're saying is that somatic experiencing helps connect the dots of the, the higher brain, the midbrain, and the limbic brain, and not
Yeah.
just talk about sensations. So, this helps really bring an integration of all the systems together that really helps the change come from within than just perceive the change. This is a change that really, shifts a lot of things, not just from the mind point of view but also at a body point of view. So we
Yes.
mostly, this is one thing that I keep telling a lot of my clients when they ask me what SE is, that for me this is what really connects most, that we're talking about emotions many times, but where do we experience these emotions? How do you know that you're experiencing these emotions? If we're talking about fear, it's about maybe a shivering that you feel, or a palpitation of the heart, or trembling of the jaw, not being able to talk. And when we're talking about all of this, we're talking about the body. We're not really
Exactly.
talking about fear. We're talking about that
Exactly.
expression in the body. And if we don't let go of these sensations that we feel that's associated with that emotion fear, then maybe this stays, but you forget that you're fearful, but you keep wondering, why am I always trembling when I go on stage, or when I'm
Right.
exposed to this, a
Right.
fearful situation, be it whatever. Then I
Right.
notice that I tremble, I notice butterflies in my stomach, and that's what SE deals with, connecting that
Exactly.
fear with the
Exactly.
sensation that's
Yes.
independent for each person. So yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. That you're very right. Very
Yes.
nice. Yes,
That
you
that
do.
gives like a lot of clarity when I hear from you again. So
Yes,
yes.
yes, yes, yeah. Hmm.
So while we're talking about this, do you also think that this could be the root cause for many psychosomatic conditions, Ifu? Because a lot of people in our clinical practice every day come with issues, be it so many things, be it back pain, be it jaw-related issues, migraines, not being
Hmm.
able to sleep, having bad dreams, or nightmares. So many conditions. The list can just go on, but that the reports, the diagnosis, the medical field cannot really pinpoint to what is happening, because everything seems fine at a medical level, but these
Right.
people are continuously experiencing something.
Yes. Yes. Because again, you remember when I talked about at the beginning, we talked about the energy, right? When you were saying, well, like when we mean trauma, it is not really the physical, but
Mm,
but not emotions, but
mm,
uh, energy. And I said,
mm,
yes, it's about the energy and
mm,
how this energy affects all these other aspects.
mm,
So this
mm,
energy, which is an overwhelming energy, it actually affects our physical. So then we
mm,
have then what happened? We end up having the symptoms.
mm, mm,
Huh? So I mean, I've seen many of my clients. They come and they said, "I have a terrible headache and I cannot sleep." So after we do a little bit of stabilization, I will ask them, "When did you experience this terrible headache for the first time?" They said, "Well, I had a very big, I had a scared moment about a month ago. Oh, all right, tell me just a little bit about it. He said, well, because I was sleeping and I had a big bang. And when I woke up, I don't know what happened. And I just was so nervous. I got sweaty. I couldn't sleep again. And until now, I cannot sleep. I said, okay, okay, let's stop. Don't talk anymore about this. Pay attention to the body. And then as they pay attention to the body, they just feel all these activations. This is the energy, because when he woke up feeling so terrible, he wanted to run. But then he cannot. He's afraid the person will be out there. He wanted to look for where they are. They're getting ready to fight, but he couldn't. So he froze in with all that energy of fight and flight. And this energy, by the way, it's good to always talk about where it comes from. It's from the liberation of hormones. The adrenaline, it's there to help us to act, to run, to. So the adrenaline will tighten our muscles so that we can act. So now when adrenaline is just being released, but then we are not going into actions anymore, or we couldn't complete it. So there's so much of this energy that was stimulated by the adrenaline in our muscles, everywhere. So then with all this energy, then of course, what is the physical symptoms when we say psychosomatic? Yeah, headache or heavy head. Yeah. Some people will have a diarrhea constant, the scare they have. Some people will have constipation. Some people will have constant palpitation, heart palpitation. Heart arrhythmia. Most of my clients with heart arrhythmia, I always found the roots in trauma. Because when it got constantly scared and the heart go, and then it keep repeating a number of times, and then they just stay with it. That after sometimes it become a symptom. Of course, you go to the doctor, probably doctor will do their own procedures. Yeah. Maybe some doctors already know about these methods. I have had a number of doctors send clients to me. They said, I think we checked the heart, there's no problems. So maybe there's something with that trauma behind it. Sure enough, yeah? Okay? So that's psychosomatic. It's very easy, as simple as that, It comes from the long term of the trauma. So maybe the symptoms might not appear right away, but in short time, in 1 week, in 40 days, the symptoms always come up very strongly. And they follow. And then one symptom is scary, so it becomes a trauma in itself. Oh my God, what do I have now? Am I going to die of this? It's another overwhelming situation. So it's one trauma building on top of the other. Yeah? So those are somatic. I don't know if I answer that question, but that's...
One of our viewers has this question: how does autoimmune disorders have to be benefited with somatic experiencing work? Autoimmune disorders like Crohn's, or name the others, but how does somatic experiencing play a role in the healing of autoimmune disorders?
What I have found, especially, I have had people with allergies. Allergies can actually be autoimmune also. Most of the autoimmune diseases, like the system, the system has for a long time, this has been like for a long time, have lived with this energy, traumatic energy. And probably the trauma, it's keep repeating. Yeah. So let's say it's the situation in the home. So the little child is experiencing the same thing since they were born. Okay. So the immune system actually is lowered by the traumatic situation, because everything in your muscles is all tightened up, and so it's affecting your entire body. So how we work with this, as simple as we have been doing, is paying attention to the body. And when we're paying attention to the body, what we are doing, being present in the body, what we're doing, we are trying not to even think, because even the thinking, it's an activity that actually activates your nervous system. Yeah. Remember when we were studying SC, we have we have what do you call that, the two parts of the of the nervous system, right? Like sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system activates the body. So these people with higher trauma, and especially when you have the autoimmune disease, they've been constantly activated in the sympathetic nervous system for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah. So it just keep on activating. So you can look at them, they look like they rested, but their body is active inside. Everything is active. The heart is pumping, breathe, the breath is very shallow. Everything is very much into traumatic part. Okay? So what we are doing by inviting them to sit, notice the feet on the ground, look for stability, look for resources here and now, is to help them to move naturally into the parasympathetic nervous system. And when they are able to, when everything in the body, including the muscles, is able to relax, then there's what we call, it's self-regulation. The body starts self-regulate itself. Like it start producing the cells that maybe they're dying of. It start producing the antibodies, because after some times, if the body is not working right, everything, like even the antibodies are not, and are not produced right. The vitamins are not going to the right places. The minerals are not going to the right places. Now, when you begin to help the body to go into the parasympathetic nervous system, the body relaxes and then it self-regulates, and the healing begins to happen. Yeah? So then, and especially if they can have more periods, yeah, you teach them too. SE is good because people can do it at home.
Wow.
Yeah, you teach them a little bit how to just sit with themselves, with their resource, and paying attention to just little details in their body. And with the resources, they feel good. And then with that goodness they feel in the body begins to self-regulate, because they start getting in touch with safety. I'm safe. I'm okay. Everything is okay here. And then the body self-regulate, and then life moves on.
Yeah, wow. So what I understand out of what you're saying is it's almost like awareness is the key to healing. So
Yes.
bringing your awareness to your body and allowing your body to just, let go and feel as much as what is good, also as much as what is disturbing in the body, and really try to bring that balance between the activation and the sense of relief in the body, kind of just helps balance things out. And in this balance is where the healing automatically happens.
Yes, exactly. Yes, it's all that self-regulation. Because SE, we call it, it's a method for self-regulation. Yeah. So when the body self-regulates itself in a so simple way, right? We are studying, and we have to study all these scientific elements, part of it. Probably some of us who are going to be therapists. But if you just kind of want to heal yourself, it's just simple as that. Learning how to be present to your own body and noticing the sensations and the movements in the body. Your body begins to self-regulate itself. And therefore, the healing is happening because it is self-regulating. You don't need to do anything. Yeah.
The idea is to not do anything and allow the healing to happen, because it's what we're doing that's maybe not allowing the healing to happen many times.
Exactly. We modern human being. We are into doing.
Yeah.
So we have had a lot. I mean, even in your culture in India, I love it. I mean, there's so much spirituality of sitting and paying, and and just being present to yourself and your body, to your breath. SE really teach that, except SE, it has a little bit more to this function of looking into the traumatic energy. Yeah, but it is practically helping us to be present in the body, and therefore that sitting and be present, spirituality, wonderful, and then the trauma is being released with that.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. And
Yes.
so to just get a brief, clarification, is that an autoimmune disorder, when somebody is experiencing an autoimmune disorder, it could possibly be that this person's nervous system is in a sympathetic activation a lot of the time?
Yes, most of the time. I mean, some of them, okay, let me make it this way so we don't generalize, huh?
Yeah, it
Some
could be
of
a
the,
possibility.
yeah, it could be a possibility
Mm,
because some of the autoimmune people are already born with it, huh?
mm,
If
mm,
they were born with it, still somatic experiencing will help to reduce by being able to be more present to whatever is
mm,
happening there. There is a possibility that it can
mm.
also self-regulate.
Yes.
But some of them, they were not born with it. It came from trauma, from
Mm,
too much activation. And then the body was thrown out of its own rhythm, of its
mm,
own self-regulation process. So yes, when it comes from the trauma, yes, for sure. If
mm.
they do SE, they get healed. We
Wow.
have done. I mean, I have had many. I have had the clients with problems with how do you call this, allergies, and they're
Mm,
able to heal their allergies by just being present in their
wow.
body with SE, and being in touch with the trauma that comes from way back.
Mm,
So it's a self-awareness, awareness. So even those who were born with this problem of autoimmune disease, when
mm,
they have an awareness of what
mm,
makes it worse.
mm, mm,
Yeah, I mean, I have had people with Alzheimer problem. Yeah,
mm,
because that most
mm,
they will say the doctor told them that this has no cure,
mm. Sure.
Alzheimer. But I have helped people with Alzheimer, which also we realized that it came from trauma. They were so tense, constantly
Yes.
tense.
Mm,
So eventually, when you're controlling your body,
mm.
you come to the point where the energy needs to pass through. So it start trembling.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and that's part of it. And then after a while, it will damage some parts of the brain, and
Mm,
therefore they can no longer control themselves. So the trembling continues. But
mm,
even with that, doctors have seen neurologically they have a damaged nerve and all this.
mm,
But when we
mm,
are doing SE, they will have
mm,
an hour with me.
mm.
They have less trembling, and they feel so good. Then I teach them that they can do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Another viewer of ours is asking if you could share maybe a 5-minute exercise or a tool that they can do to help bring in a sense of stability and safety. So would that be
Great.
possible?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. I love that actually. All of my workshops and my teachings, I always like to do a practical thing because that's
Mm.
all you're going to remember.
Ye-
We might
Yeah.
forget all the stuff. We said, what did they say again about what trauma was? I don't remember. But the exercises we do remember.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So we will do it. So then, what we do, we invite everybody to sit more comfortably on their chairs.
Mm.
Yeah, and make sure that your chair is holding you instead of you holding the chair. Like
Wow.
you're letting your body to sit on
That's
the chair.
already a wonderful statement.
Yeah. So, and then just notice that your feet are touching the ground, and
Mm.
they can find the ground, and they're landing on the ground. Yeah. So we just invite everybody. Notice the chair supporting you, holding you, and let your body sink into it. And then you also notice the feet touching the floor, grounded and connected to the ground, as if you're creating the roots between your feet and your ground.
Yes.
Ah. And then with those two elements, notice what happens in the body. And when I invite to notice what happens to the body, I'm just talking about the sensation. And what will be the sensation? Like tingling. Yeah, the breath. I noticed your body kind of had a little deeper breath. Yeah, how is the air coming in and how is the air going out? Notice that. And maybe there's some itchy places. Just notice that. You don't have to go after it and do anything. You just notice it gently. And as you notice it, you know that your chair is supporting you, supporting your back. Your feet are grounded and supported. Right. And yeah, we began like that. I felt like my breath went deeper already. Noticing. Yeah?
Okay, so too.
Yeah, I noticed that with you. We are co-regulating here. Because I look at you, I see your shoulders dropping. And I'm like, wonderful. That's it. Yeah, I just feel that. And now I will invite you all that are watching, the viewers, to look around. But slowly though. No, nothing happened quickly, slowly. Just look around really gently, connecting with all the stuff that are in your room, but one after another, not all together. And slowly. And we might find something that capture your attention. Just look at it. And as you look at it, yeah, that's it. I saw another nice deep breath. Yeah. I'm sure you saw something beautiful you liked over there.
Our clinic is filled with elephants. It's called the White Elephant Clinic. And there are varieties of elephants. And elephant is my power animal. So as soon as I saw one elephant, and there it goes.
There you go. Relax. That's what we call that a resource. So then your body relaxes because you found a resource. We call them resource. When we have trauma, we get our eyes fixated in one point. So we invite people to look around. They start seeing so many different things, and then they relax some more. And then you notice your body becoming more stable and more relaxed. Yeah, that's very nice. And then again, you notice the details of your relaxation. So from the time we began until now, that's 5 minutes maybe, you will notice your muscles are more relaxed. The air that you're breathing in, it's deeper. Maybe your eyes are brighter. Like mine, I feel even brighter when I started looking around. Yeah. Yes. And then one more thing that we can do actually, because we work a lot with what we call resources, just think of something, somebody that you really like or you enjoy because they support you much. Or some things like a forest, a tree, that also bring you comfort. Or some activity that you do and you feel more comfortable with yourself. So you just invite one of those. And then as you bring one of those close to you, like I love waterfalls. So I just thought of waterfall. Wow. And as I thought of waterfall, my body just melted more into the chair. And my sensation on my shoulder that was a little heavy just dropped. Yes. Just relaxed. Very nice. Very nice. And then I connect more with the resource, with that waterfall. I imagine the waterfall is it's in front of me and I'm looking at it. Wow, beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, and the body relax. And then when the body relax, we can think better. The pains go away. We're more stable. So 5 minutes of that daily make your day actually go further, grow better, and even more successful.
It definitely didn't feel like it was 5 minutes. It felt like forever.
Yes, great. So I hope our viewers were able to benefit. It's like we're playing.
Yeah.
Really, it's very simple.
Wow.
To mostly go into the body. Even with the resources, you always bring attention back to the body. Yeah. All right. So that's good. Now you just benefit your body more relaxed.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Ah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Ah.
And this is just so, reassuring, right? Like 5 minutes of this and you're already feeling so good. It's so inviting to do more of this.
Very good. Very good. Yeah.
One of our
So,
viewers has this question, Efu, for you. Is trauma associated with memory loss? Is there a connection with this?
yes, they might. Everything I always don't with the scientific world, you do science and then you discover there's so many different possibilities. So we never take anything absolute, yeah. And I would say yes or probably, yeah. In some cases, yes, yeah, because what happens that when we are traumatized, as I said, the traumatic energy is kept in our reptilian brain. And our reptilian brain, which is the lower part of our brain, it is connected actually directly to the memory part, memory parts of our brain. Yeah. So sometimes when of course we don't get the opportunity to do what we're doing now and to heal this trauma, and then it keeps on repeating, because what happened was there's with this connection, the brain, the part of the brain that it carry the memory, it's constantly in touch with this part of the body that is very tense. There's so much tension, so then it keeps on aggravating it, like the memory is just remembering this trauma, and the memory part of the brain, when it's remembering this trauma, it's constantly tense. So somehow some parts of it can get damaged because of tension. And it's just a repeating process. It keeps on going back from the trauma, from the traumatic energy to the memory, from the memory, traumatic energy. So, and then, of course, the awareness, the higher part of the brain, it keep on there's fear. Like you have a lot of fear, but you don't know where the fear is coming from. But fear is in the energy of fear. It's in the lower part of the brain. And then the memory is connected with it. So the memory is almost like always agitated. So some parts of the brain can get damaged. Yes. But not the whole brain. I'm talking about the parts of the memory. Hippocampus, in English, hippocampo, yeah? Yeah. The hippocampus is the part of the brain that it has to do with memory. It can get damaged from all this traumatic energy that keeps on going back and forth from the brain from this middle part of the brain back to the reptilian brain, that it's quite tense by now. But then the other part has no access of understanding, but it's just a fear. And the behaviors, again, the behaviors that make us always feel negative. So after some times, the memory gives up. And there's no new memories that are kept anymore. The new memories of goodness and all this. There's always that memory of trauma that it's there. So after sometimes, no more growth in there. It's
But
damaged.
what you're saying, what comes to me is that, this could be probably the reason that, when people meet with an accident and they come for therapy later, be it somatic experiencing or whatever, when you ask them what happened, the only thing they remember is that I was driving, and then
Yeah,
all I remember is something had gone wrong.
right. And then
Or,
they don't remember anything else. And then from there, they just get all activated with all the very heavy impact. And
yes.
then, while with SE, we help them to undo this slowly.
Mm,
And so the memory, the hippocampus is a really kind of hippocampus. It's overwhelmed, and
mm,
therefore the cells are just kept on growing back in the memory of
mm,
trauma, the memory of trauma, the memory of trauma. While actually, as you heal, the new cells are recovered. And then you can now remember things that make you happy, things that make you feel good.
mm.
Otherwise, you keep feeling that memory of trauma, which is actually very damaging to your system. And of course, it's a vicious circle. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we go to the scientific explanation, it's a vicious circle. Yeah. So, yes, the many people who have Alzheimer have,
Mm, mm,
that they have to do with that. It has to do with traumas in the past, many of them, that they couldn't recover them. There's a book by Peter Levine that with
mm,
trauma and memory. It's very good.
mhm.
Yeah, if people can get it, Peter Levine had written that. It's yeah. Well, I wanted to say it's translated, but you all speak English, so
Yeah.
just maybe some people you can note it down. Peter Levine, trauma and memory.
Mm,
I don't remember right off my head which year was written, but just if you put Peter Levine trauma and memory, you will access it. It's excellent.
wow.
It will explain everything that I was saying here and even more
Mm.
deeper.
Very interesting. One of the
Yeah,
last questions that we could be addressing for today is
yeah.
one of our viewers is asking if there are any tips of how one can deal with anxiety on an everyday base, or how can one just be done with anxiety, and what are the practices that they can follow to overcome this.
All right. So we talk about this just with anxiety. It's the same thing we talked about with SE. So like I am all of a sudden I was doing something and I'm okay, and something trigger my memory and I begin to feel anxious. Oh, I'm going to sleep, and then I hear something and then I became anxious, and now I have a lot of anxiety and I cannot sleep. I always invite people to do the same thing. Pay attention. Now, first of all, just pay attention to your breathing, something small like that. And you can notice that it's going really fast. So notice it, just look at it, and then you notice that probably it's changing. And in the meantime, you look around again, looking around, not fixing. Looking around, you might see something on the walls
Mm.
that bring some, like reminded you of something positive.
Yes.
And then you look at it, and then you go back to your breath, and
Mm,
yeah, it's getting better. Oh,
mm,
wonderful. And then at the same time, you have your feet grounded. The feet on the ground a, it's a healing. It's
mm,
really good when you feel grounded. When you have your feet hanging always, it's not good for anxiety. So you try to make sure your feet are grounded on the ground. And then if you're sitting on the chair, just feel yourself kind of the chair giving you support.
mm, mm,
Also, you can slowly, if you're not sitting, then you walk. Walk really slowly, slowly in your room or in your living room. And as you're walking, you're noticing how the foot is touching the ground. You're noticing how the other foot is getting up.
mm,
You're noticing how the air is coming in. You're
mm,
noticing how your hand is moving. So
mm,
you're not thinking of anything. You're
mm,
all involved with this just little exercise of moving,
mm,
walking.
mm.
Yeah? So that helps if the anxiety was not so deep.
Okay.
The anxiety, it's really already kind of making you feeling, getting into the panic. We do the voo sound. So maybe I can invite you. We can do together, and they can hear it.
Yes.
So the voo sound is also an activity that was developed by Peter Levine. That is very interesting. That it helps us. It helps to liberate the traumatic energy from the high or deeper traumatic energy from our viscera, where most of the trauma goes. Yeah, it's connected. Yeah. So you take a deep breath. Let's take a deep breath. And then when you let it out, we're going to let it out, making a sound, vibrational sound that is coming from your belly, coming up through the throat to the mouth. Yeah, it's coming so deep. Okay? So let's do it. Vo. And after one vowel sound, we stop and notice the body. There's some nice relaxation. Sighs. The body relaxes. And you just now just track the sensation in your body. All of a sudden you forget about what you were worried about. Yes. And then the body relaxes totally. And then maybe you can do it the second time maximum. 2 times is more than enough. Yeah. So let's do it the second time and that's it. We'll close. You just now just track the sensation in your body. All of a sudden you forget about what I think, yeah. Yes. Okay, shall we do it one more time? Okay. Vo. Wow. Relax completely. And notice the bodily sensation. And everything relaxes totally. And then actually, then you can go to sleep. Yeah. So that helps. That's another way of helping. So 2 things. You know, the way we do like grounding, and then you can also do a voice sound.
Yes. Yes. That's really interesting. That's a lot of takeaway for our viewers today. And also, a lot of people commented that they really enjoyed the 5-minute exercise that we really did. And so, yes. So, I think people have a couple of things to take away from today's interview about the things that they can do with 5 minutes every day, or how they can stabilize, support, and feel safe in their bodies, and how to deal with anxiety.
Yes, great. That's you captured it well. Great summary.
Yes, we also intended to talk a little about family constellation, but I really noticed that we're way beyond an hour. So, would it be possible to maybe do another live, maybe in the next couple of days, talking about what family constellation is, and maybe talk about how the dynamics of a family within ourselves, carry so much that can really change for the well-being of our emotional and physical health. Would that be possible?
Yes, I imagine that. No way. I mean, like just to understand family consult. I mean, somatic experiencing, and a lot of people have many questions, like you say. Well, you planned these questions, but then there are other people who wants to hear more about other aspects. So I knew it was not going to be possible to talk about family constellation at the same time. But it's good then we have another time for family constellation. Yes, we
Because
can
we
plan.
don't want to rush any topic in, maybe
No.
go all
Now
out
we
and
don't.
discuss like a discussion that we had today.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So that's good. Next time you mark just for family constellation.
Yes,
And then in the end, we will see how it connect with a C.
yes,
Yeah,
definitely. That
yeah.
was so wonderful talking to you, Ifu. That was so much information. That was so much, knowledge for people, and I think so much insight about the body, the nervous system, and how it really corresponds to a lot of emotions and the experiences we have on an everyday basis, or be it a situation or a circumstance that was very difficult for us to deal with, because we're always thinking about that but never experience the emotion also, right? And that was
Right.
so much insight from you, and that was really a wonderful session talking to you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome, and thank you for inviting me.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, that's
Mhm.
good. So good luck with your new project there. Hopefully, you just have a successful growth. Yeah.
Thank you. We really hoped to have you here when if we have the family constellation and the somatic experiencing training happening in person. But yeah, I hope and wish that we can meet very soon and have you visit our center also.
Okay, that's great. We will come for sure next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ifu. Have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for being a part of this. It was really my pleasure, and I hope all the viewers enjoyed this.
Thank you. Bye
Thank
bye now.
you.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye. All right. Thank you.
Bye. This was a conversation with Efu Nyaki, all the way from Brazil, who joined us to talk about somatic experiencing, who also promised another live session that we will be doing shortly, that is going to be talking about what family constellation is, what this term means, what this therapy really is, and how and what we can deal with, and what this therapy is all about in the next live session with Efu Nyaki. Thank you so much to each of you who participated in this live session with your questions, comments, and interests. We will be happy to share this. Follow our page and stay tuned for our next live sessions. Thank you so much.